All right. There we
Right.
go.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone, to Pulse for Developers. Today, Tim and I have a great show. We're planning and talking about launch APIs, our new launch APIs, where you can do all sorts of stuff. How are you doing, Tim?
I am all good. And so maybe before we dive in, can you talk a bit about what launch is for some of the folks if they don't know yet?
Absolutely. So,
It
launch
felt so
is,
official and studied, but
I
we did.
know.
Sorry to interrupt. Please go. That felt very official.
We almost sound professional.
Exactly.
So Launch is our front end hosting capability here at Contentstack, where you can host any of your JavaScript based projects and have them go to production, aka live. You can also host your custom apps on there that you build through the Developer Hub. But the launch APIs now allow you to sort of manage all of your launch resources. So that includes your projects, your environment, your deployments. You can do all sorts of CRUD functionings when as a respect to environments, your project or deployment. You can get all of your deployments. You can get
Exactly.
all your you can update them. You can even upload if you have a zip file of a project that you want on launch, you can do that through these APIs. And what I really like is that you can get all of your logs. So you can get server logs, deployment logs, and you can also revalidate your cache.
Yeah, this is the good stuff, right? Where if something is headless, it should have APIs that covers all the features that you see in the interface. And now that launch works on like all the clouds, finally these launch management APIs have been fully validated and work across all this. And so now we get to play with them. And you'll see later on in this stream, like I've built like something with those, but it doesn't mean that you can only do one or two things. Like I just rebuilt launch because I could, but that's a little bit of a weird one, of course. But why not?
Right.
Because of reasons, I did it. But think about what you would do with these in your own CI/CD pipeline, or if you need to get some logs and put them in Slack. Like there's so much stuff you can do now that you have these APIs. And so it's always fun when we get like a new set of APIs and can think about what can I do with this content platform. Well, I have
Right.
just rebuilt the same product because why not? But that that was kind of fun to do, at least the front end.
Right. And also like thinking about ways in which you can further communicate if you're a dev with your developer team or others. Like you said, if you're sending messages in Slack, you can let people know, oh, we just redeployed or redeployed. So whoever's in there, let's say they wrote new content or there were some changes, they can now know in your usual communication environment that that actually happened.
Yeah, and there's so many different endpoints. Maybe I can share my screen so we can have a look at the doc so we can see a little bit what we're talking about here.
Yeah, let's take a
And
look.
what I always love is before I actually click on, like when we go here, we actually have an open API spec for all these APIs, which is really handy because lots of people actually grab this and then generate their, API functions from it.
Function.
Because why not? It's all here, right?
Yeah, everything you need is there.
Exactly. And then so in the docs, well, you can click that run Swagger. I think it actually goes to the same, does it? Let's have a look what this does when it loads. Yeah, and so this is
Yeah.
pretty cool also. So this Swagger interface is based on that open API spec we were just looking at. And so this now it's even easier, right? So you can authorize and then just look at all these endpoints and then try and use them. But you can
Yeah,
see
test
how
them out.
much there's so much here. Like you can do a bunch of stuff with your projects themselves. Then we have environments inside projects. And these all have like specific things like revalidate the cache or create an environment or edit one or change like a build command in these environments. You can look at all your deployments or create one even. Like you might actually want to create a deployment when you do something in an external system and then
Exactly.
fire some sort of call to here and then trigger a deployment based on new artifacts that you have. Whatever, all that works. And you can upload files, which is I have a zip file of a project. I want to put it on, and it's like a signed URL upload, so it's super safe. It just only does, what you want, and you can edit the logs, server logs, like all the things. And then, of course, lots of features like paginations. Like there's just this is handy stuff for developers, right? This.
Definitely. Um,
Let's go.
Also,
Go on.
yeah, let's talk a little bit about the base URLs and how you authenticate, since we talked a little bit and you saw how you can authorize your project in Swagger.
Yeah. So you want to go? I felt like you wanted to go.
So, just like all of our other APIs, right? You have the base URLs by region, right? So, in the case that you'll see in a second, Tim is using AWS Europe because that's where he
Yep.
is. Um, and so that would be his base URL. So when you're testing out these APIs, make sure you get the correct base URL for
Yeah, and
your
also
region.
you should realize it's not just region, it's also if you're on Azure or Google, right? You
It's
can
your
have
data,
different
your
ones. Yeah,
cloud.
exactly. And so once you have that, we have to authenticate because we cannot just let anybody, control your deployments. That's not something we, like.
No.
So what we are looking for with Content Stack as a platform nowadays, like we are doing OAuth for most things
Hmm.
because OAuth have lovely scopes. And so you can set a scope in your setup, which will show you in a sec how that works, where you can say you can do these things with launch, but not those things. But you can do these things with CMS, but not those things. Like that scope for OAuth is quite granular across all our products. And so if you set up that OAuth and people log in with Content Stack, you get an OAuth token, and then you can do the things you're allowed to based on those scopes. And we also have something called machine to machine apps, which is essentially if a machine needs access to something without like a user present, this is quite often like CI/CD stacks and stuff. When you need
Hmm.
one pipeline to connect to something to do something, you don't want the user to have your username there. That's kind of weird. You just want a
Right.
machine app. And so a machine app also has an OAuth token that says this machine or this pipeline or this laptop or whatever that's not connected to a user, it's just a thing or an app, can connect over also over an OAuth token. And then the somewhat more old school, but still works just as well, normal auth token, which is just username and password. And I think, Lo, correct me if I'm wrong, you can generate 20 of those tokens before they all kind of just stop working. You have to
Yeah.
make one, something like
Only
this.
20. Yeah. The limit is 20.
And of course, there's also two-factor authentication. So if you want to log in with your auth token, even if it's turned on for you, it might come back and say, "Hey, give me an OTP key, please." But all that is just standardized, and there's like a lots of information on how all that stuff works. We sorry, go on, Lo.
I was just going to say, I'm going to drop the link to those docs
Mm,
in chat.
exactly. And so we love the OAuth stuff. There's a few more steps you have to take to make that work, but it's once it works, it's really nice. So we will show you how I did that in my app, and then you'll see it's not too crazy. It's just a few more steps. And so the scopes are just super handy, right? So you can manage launch, like there's all these different things, all these endpoints we just saw. And this might be, oh yeah, and then so you can read projects, or you can write to the projects. And like there's all these different scopes, and like um, it's just super handy to be able to give a little bit of granularity because you might not want people to delete your stuff, but you might want to have to trigger new deployments or stuff like that, right? So you can set that up.
Yeah. Oh, and it also does, we just talked about this, but gives a good breakdown of auth tokens versus OAuth token.
Yeah, it's quite different actually, because an auth
Yeah,
token itself doesn't have an OAuth scope. It's just
right.
you log in and our bag says so whatever you're allowed to see, you are allowed to see. There you go. And if it breaks, it breaks. We don't know because this is what your account has access to, which is somewhat different, but still works fine.
Yeah, it's just that I like you said before, the granularity of OAuth, because you should only give folks access to exactly what they need and nothing more. That's how one of the
Yes.
ways from a human side how you keep things secure.
Exactly. And also this allows you to log in with Contentstack to any custom app that you might build, which is kind of nice.
Yep.
Like you can actually create a marketplace app that says log in with Contentstack to whatever this app is that I'm building. Like I build a bunch of apps now with AI myself, and I need login in registration for those, but mainly just for me. So I just have an OAuth app in Contentstack, and I have my own OAuth service now. So I log in with Contentstack into any app that I build because I just need,
Yes.
stuff like this. And I might not even use those tokens or auth scopes myself, but you can. And so it's all explained here. The docs are shared. Then we have things like rate limiting, API conventions, like all kind of the basics we mostly already know. But it's
Yeah.
nice. It's all the script. Like it's all here, right? Um, Lo, what do you think? Should we maybe have a look at what I've built?
Yeah. Let's get into the dashboard that you built.
Yeah. And so, by the way, one quick thing: if you are on the docs here, you can just click Get All Projects, for example, and you can actually try it out. Like I'm not authenticated now, so it's just going to tell me nope, and I didn't
Nobody.
fill anything out. But you can actually test this whole thing on the docs itself, which is super duper nice. All right. So what I built is the following. I just built something I called Launch Manager, or my AI agent called it Launch Manager.
Launchman.
I wasn't that wasn't very clever of me, but I just wanted to see how far can I get with the same APIs to what the launch interface actually looks like. And I just realized we didn't even show launch. How about I do that first?
Oh,
So
yeah. That would have been helpful.
yeah, exactly. So launch itself has all these projects, right? And so, for example, well, this project is very simple. Let's go to, for example, this one. So launch projects have environments, and each environment has different settings. And so this is, let's say, my latest production deploy. I click on that, you can see, okay, this is what it looked like, the status, where it all came from, and all like the logs, but also server logs you can see here. If somebody would, oh, you can see that people are here now doing things, and I'm getting 404 somehow, which is I did not realize this would happen today, but here you go. And so here's the build log of it. So you can look at all that and you can go to your other environment. You can say, hey, this is a preview environment, which might have different settings, right? So
Right.
when we go to the settings, you can actually see for the project, it's connected to GitHub. I have different users that are allowed to go in here. And then here are my environment, right? So the preview and production. And they actually might have different setups. Like my environment variables here for preview are actually different than for production.
Right.
And so you can set up your custom domains here. Well, currently it's not a custom one, it's just an assigned one, but you can also do custom stuff nowadays, which is really, really handy. You have hooks. You can look at how you set up the deployment. This is a Next.js project, but you can also do a bunch of other ones. When you select the preset, it does a bunch of clever stuff behind the scenes, so you don't have to know all the things that make this work on a server. It just does it for you, which is very nice. Like in
Yeah.
Next.js, if I have an API route, it will just route that to a serverless function inside Launch for you, which is very nice. You don't have to do that yourself.
And so, just really quickly for folks who don't know, in those deployments, if you set up, if you want to have a project that is not one of those primary preset frameworks, right? But it is JavaScript based, what would
You
you do?
just go to other and run it.
Excellent.
Sorry, that
So
was
you
a
can
little
really
crude,
use,
but there you go.
no, but I knew. But sometimes folks don't know because a lot of
Yeah, I
times when
agree.
you look at that preset, they think that you can only use those frameworks. But if it's JavaScript based, you can use it.
Exactly. And most of the times these kind of setups are quite easy, right? You have a build command, where does the output directory go, and what is the starting server command? And in Next.js, it kind of just does that automatically for you, which is nice. So
Yeah.
now you know launch, and there's a few more things that it does. Like you can set up cache priming, so you give a bunch of URLs, and it just pings those for you on deployment. So they're all cache primed. We have event tracking for our data and insights, password protection, all the things you pay for with the competition. You just get here for free, essentially. Um,
Yep. And then Basically, so all the functionality that we're going through now is available through these APIs now.
Exactly. As you will see, this is what I built. So now let me log in with Contentstack. So I actually get an OAuth token. So I can actually now do stuff with the launch APIs because my token now allows me to see my 4 projects. So if we look at launch here, these are the 4 projects. I chose to just grab the latest image from the latest deploy and put that in my
Um,
icons because I want that. You don't have to, but this is the fun part about those APIs, right? If you look at the differences, they have similar information, but I also
right.
decided to put my GitHub repository in there,
Yeah.
for
But you
example.
also really like visual cues. So this works for you.
Exactly that, because I'm kind of just not that smart. So it needs to smack
That's
me in the
not
face.
true.
And so when it smacks me in the face, I know what I'm dealing with, right? It's just I don't know. For everybody's different, I guess. And so when we look at that same project here, we go in and you see the same stuff. I just decided to have a somewhat different look to it. Right? My
Hmm.
environments are here. And then when I select one, you see the deployments of that environment. And then here you can go into deployment of that environment. And as you can see, I like the visual thing. So the screenshot is big. It shows me my commit hash, when it was done. I can actually just go to GitHub and look at that commit specifically. And so I think the server logs for this, and I'm not sure they're working. Oh, wait, did we test that before we did it on production, I think.
Production. Yeah.
Yeah, let me have a look. So, oh yeah, here we go.
There we
These are like the same production logs that we saw with the 404 just now. By the way, I'm gonna have to check that low because I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
That's for tomorrow. It's fine. But you can see I have a little bit of work to do here because this thing is not wide enough for all the text. But you get the same things because I just use the API to ask for it and get it, right? And
Right.
I have the view side here, refresh, like you can click on it and do your thing, and you get all this fun stuff actually just from the APIs. And so I decided to put the settings directly in here rather than going to a separate settings tab and find the project. I just click here and go for it, which is not that different, but it's like fun that you're able to do it. And however, and I need to actually look at the code that I did here. Like I can actually not change these now, where in
Right.
launch I was able to. So I will have to check. It looks like maybe those drop downs and stuff, like the templates might not come out of the API, or this thing has decided you set it up once, you don't touch it. I will have to
Right.
check how
So
my code
it's
actually
always
works.
read only. Yeah.
It might be, yeah, I have to check that. Then here my variables are the same. You see, I can actually not remove them or do anything to them.
Which
Oh, look at
kind of
this.
makes sense.
Yeah, this is what I decided to do here. Like, are managed during creation. To modify them, please recreate the environment. That's not great based
No.
on, but this is just
No.
the decision I made when I built this. But as you can see, now you can build your own UI if you want. And there's actually a little issue here. But other than that, the domains are here. I can add a domain. I can do a bunch of stuff. Um, what else do I have? So we have the same deploy hooks, password protection, cache priming, event tracking, and then you can see the deployments again here. And so it's very similar, but just kind of like how I like to see it. And I can do a new project as well. I can connect to GitHub that I also built with another OAuth. And so now so this is actually a slightly different approach to how I would do that, right? I can just do this, select my
Yeah.
latest thing here, and here I can set up all the things, right? Oh, there's the frameworks, and create it and run. And
Yeah.
so, and I just want a dark and light mode, and I can log in and log out, and there you go.
Yeah, and I could totally see where, let's say that you created one of these dashboards and it's less technical, right? Not a literal copy of, what you see on on launch, but
Exactly.
maybe you just want visibility in some way to give to someone who is a content person or someone who doesn't have access to Content Stack in the company, but they want certain information, you could totally use the launch APIs to deliver that information to a dashboard that is shared out, for instance.
Exactly. So maybe what we can do before we look at some code, how about we have a look at how I did that OAuth thing? Maybe that's a
Yeah,
good start. So when
because
we actually go,
authentication can be really tricky.
yes, it can be. And so we have in our developer hub, you can make apps and you can see this one is actually called OAuth. And so what
Look at
I've done
that.
is this app, like generally apps in Contentstack can have UI locations, right? So I can add a custom field to a CMS, or an image can have a custom field where I can do a bunch of fun stuff, or I can make a full page app. In this case, we're not going UI locations at all. We just go to the OAuth tab here. And so you get actually a client secret and a client token. And you can then say, well, what is this app allowed to do? Well, you can see launch, projects, read, write, delete, manage. You can also go to the analytics product or the teams or whatever you want to do, right? And so this has these OAuth scopes very specific. And so I've just set this up like when I log in with this. And so when I get like this client ID and this secret, and this is what
Okay.
it goes back to once that is the whole handshake is done, I am able to do all those things. And then there's a whole bunch of other setup stuff you can do. Like you can actually just, oops. See, these are all the launch ones, but there's also different ones like reading app hostings, or like there's so much stuff you can do with organizations, stacks management. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff. And
Which
there's
ones are the ones you have checked? Because I saw something about protected,
only
and I'm like,
launch, only launch in
only
this one.
launch. Okay.
Oh, and user, I think. Yeah, so I can read my
Yeah.
own user profile.
Got
So
it.
when I log in, I can do like my own image and my email and stuff. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And you can do the PKCE stuff. So if you do this right, you don't have to use the client secret, but that's a bit too technical for today. Like this is just the latest OAuth type implementation. This is essentially when you use this app, you just say login with Contentstack is now possible because I have an app that's built like this. And you don't even have to install this app. It's just there sitting because it's just an OAuth endpoint now. And so that's how you log in. And so this actually talks to Contentstack. It says, okay, this is the org I need. And there you go.
There it
And
is.
do you want to have a look at maybe that the code for this? Because there's some interesting stuff that we did to kind of simplify how I got it to work. Because as you could see, when I was just demoing, there were a few small issues, right? That's because I
Mm-hmm.
find this app in like 20 minutes. There's literally, it's crazy, right? I didn't actually build it. I just told it what I wanted.
One you wanted. Yeah.
And there's a bit of magic in how you prompt, but that's maybe for another live stream. But the main thing that really, really helped is the fact that we had these open ID providers and stuff, right? So, oh, sorry, open API. Like we
Mm-hmm.
had this Swagger, we had this open API. And so this I just gave to my agent. I gave it this and I gave it the docs. So it would really just read and understand everything. And so based on that, it created for me in my library a launch client. And so it even understood like those base URLs, right? And you can
Yes.
also
Yeah.
add one in your environment variables if you want to be on AWS, EU, or maybe not EU, but maybe Azure or whatever. And then it just made me a client. And this client is very simple, actually. It's just a fetch in Node.js. So this fetches any URL with the authentication token from OAuth,
Well,
plus a bunch of stuff that it needs to have. And then it's as simple as, okay, the get projects will just make this request with this URL and a certain type of parameters. That's it. And so it's literally just creating a query. If I want to get one project, I just need a project UID and then run it like that. If you want to create a project, you see there's a little bit more involvement here. So you need a few things. And then I just post to the request with /projects with all this stuff and it makes it. And on and on. update project, delete, get environments. And it made this client just from that open API spec. Like this is like a 1 minute job for an agent if the spec is that good. If the docs are really good, it just makes it. And then what it proceeded to do, when you look at the app API, which is like in Next.js, that's how that works. And then here I have my projects, for example. So per project, I have a project UID, and there's environments inside of them. And then all of them have like a root, right? So for projects, this is the root. And so what it will actually do is look at that client that we have. Let's see if where I find this stuff. So if, for example, in this case, this is just a function. Wait, let me find the base of this one. Yeah, here, so get. So this is just the launch client get projects, which is the function we just had a look at, right? And so it
Yep.
gets the projects, and then with that, it does what it needs and just renders some stuff. And all of these are API endpoints. So all of these return JSON. And so when we have a look at another one, let's see, like for environments, then we have the environment UID, and then for the deployments, and then the deployment ID, and then you can get the logs for the server. And there you go. You see, this goes very deep because this is all the things that it actually offers you. And again, this will have our API client. So the launch client actually does get server logs, and it finds from the parameters the project, the environment, and the deployment, which is all of those variables here on the side. And then based on that information, it can get the server logs for this and then just return it. And so this is very easy for an agent to build based on this client. It can just make all these routes of what is possible. And now you have an API for all these routes. And then you just build a front-end dashboard, right? If you want to see the projects, I think that's this one. This is just, hey, let me just get API/project, get my data, and then just render it. Suddenly, this
Yeah.
is just a CRUD app, you know? It's
Right.
not that hard anymore. And you just have to focus on how it looks now and your imagination.
Yeah.
And
And I was just going to say, I like the client approach too, because if you're using OAuth, you can obviously control the scope, right?
Yep.
But it may be a situation where you are on a large scale developer team, at a company, and you want a specific client that has a specific scope that matches the scope that you set for the token, and then you drop that, and that's what the developer team, and you only have maybe one person or two people, because I don't think there should ever be just one person controlling,
no,
having kind of super admin access. You should have two, and you can kind of further set the parameters of what folks can do.
exactly. And that just makes this stuff like it used to be kind of complicated to set all this up, but I just, pointed my AI agent at this OAuth spec and said, implement it, please. And so it can figure out that you need a code and a state, and if there's errors, redirect. And like OAuth is so normalized by now that this is basically just super doable. And in this case, I'm storing stuff in a cookie to see what my state is. And there's my access token, and we just run. And this might not even be the best way. Let's be honest. This is a vibe coded setup.
Yeah.
If you would actually do this like properly, I would suggest if you're in Next.js, if you're using Contentstack or auth, just use auth.js. And it's wrapped in Next Auth, which is such a good system. It's crazy. And if you're not using Contentstack auth but any other, just go with whatever tool like Auth0, or there's a bunch of them that do this really, really well. So you don't even have to worry as much. This is kind of like I decided to do cookies. Maybe that's not the right way, but it works for
No.
this project because it's just me running on my local host. So
Yeah, and this is really just like a POC, right? You're trying to see if you can do it and what that might look like. You would obviously go back and harden it and do all the things you knew that you
exactly.
would consider for production.
And I do think at one point it's going to be a very interesting stream to see, hey, how do we actually harden those kind of 5B coded
Yeah.
projects? that might be a fun thing for us to write about or make a video on.
Yeah. I think that like vibe coding is awesome, and you can sort of, like you said, like have a POC, a proof of concept of what you want to build. But the trickiest part is one, prompting, that we got into
Oh
last
yeah,
stream, but also knowing when the agent gives you back like terrible code, right? Or things that just don't make sense.
exactly. And so that's for a separate occasion, I think.
Yeah.
So now that we're like half an hour in, we kind of showed we can do it. Should we maybe build something fun?
Yeah. Or
Because
do
why
you want
not?
to build something totally new, or do you want to extend
Maybe
the
extend
dashboard?
this because we have the context here. Like I'm
Yeah,
adding
I think
this
so
like
too.
this client that we made, but this is the composer one. So what we could maybe do is actually say, you know what, because I've already exhausted all my other models. I have to wait until February 1st. So we cannot use our fun models now. We can actually probably go to plan mode and just okay here. You know what? Let's talk about this. I set it to max, which means it can go a bit longer. It has a longer context window. And you know what? I wonder if I set it to auto, but I only have composer one at the moment. So let's just ask it based on this API client and the current code base, what would be some great additional whoops.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
There we go.
Let's see what it does if I ask it to think hard.
I know. I love telling AI to feel free.
Oh yeah, I always do it.
Me
It's
too.
confidently wrong also, but like we have to, you know.
Sometimes I'm like, and have fun with it.
Yeah, I kind of add extra tokens just because I'm kind of treating it like a junior employee that has
Yes.
an incredible work ethic and is very clever but still very junior, you know?
Yes.
Let's see what it's saying though. Well, there's oh
Oh, wow. Okay.
okay.
So a
Wait,
lot
let me
of
zoom
things.
out a little bit because it's hard to read. Let's see what it's saying. So it's looking at the code base and everything. Did you see how fast that Composer One model is? By the way, it's crazy.
Super fast.
Okay, so project deletion. Yeah, I don't think we probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so okay, so there is actually API for updating names and descriptions of projects, but there's just no UI. Then project configuration that might be centralized. So that's interesting.
Hmm.
Okay, environment deletion. Yeah, so there's like it's kind of boring, but it's kind of like day-to-day improvements of what you could potentially do with these projects. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's very much considering this a functional thing. Like probably if we had told it specifically that this is a POC, and to think of what some really fun stuff you could
Oh,
put
but
here, it would
dude,
have done differently.
don't you like this?
Analytics.
Yeah, how about we do I like this. Okay.
I think we do number 6. Let's do it.
This model is not as nice, but when you talk to like Opus, it like really agrees with the fact that you love something.
Yes.
Let's see if it actually goes into plan mode because it doesn't always do that. You see, it just didn't. Oh, it's installing a package. Okay, go.
Okay.
Be free.
Yeah.
Holy moly. But like the performance of this is basically intense. Like the thing is, this is not a super big project. It's very well documented. It's super small because when I do vibe something, I keep cleaning it up. So it's very concise. So the context for
Mhm.
this agent doesn't have to be that big. And so it kind of just knows because it knows the library and the spec, it can just kind of run. Um, but I asked it to plan, I asked it to speak to me, it did nothing. So Let it just go. It's even like, and I have inside, like we did this last stream, right? There's all these things like if you build something, make sure the build runs, the TypeScript runs, make sure it's concise. All those, basics are in the settings for cursor here.
Totally. And what a lot of people I think miss in their code too is actually if you're vibe coding, once you get it, like comment your code because it gives your
Yep.
agent context for why you did that function and what it's for in the grand scheme of your overall project, right? And I know there are mixed feelings about comments. I am definitely pro comments in your code. This is it's a living document and a record. You might not be here later, and the developers that come after you need to know why you
Exactly.
chose to do something the way that you did.
Wow. It kind of just did it. Okay. So we go to dashboard
Excellent.
analytics. Okay.
All
I'll
right.
take it.
So let's see what we got.
Analytics. If this works, this is so much fun. Oh, it's taking. Oh, yo.
Whoa.
This my success rate is like 2%. I'm not sure I'm happy with this.
Yeah.
But this is fun. Like it's no so active deployments and stuff. So when we wait, let me try something. Let's actually go to launch and then redeploy something because why not? We can do that. Let's do this one. I think if I just go here, I can say redeploy. Okay,
Boy,
go.
yeah.
So this is now redeploying. Let's give it a second so it starts. Loading the logs here. Okay, you can do it. Yeah, here we go. So now let's have a look at this one.
Let's see if it updates.
I'm sure. Oh, there we
Yes.
go. Oh, this is pretty cool.
Awesome. No, this is really cool.
So this is not the best accessibility, but this is pretty fun. Oh no.
No.
Okay, but that's for that we can just do this. And I think I actually have the next MCP installed, so it might be using that. That's why it's so
Okay.
quick with the errors and stuff to fix.
You got to feed it.
Yeah, but not too much though.
Much. Yeah, too much it gets crazy, but just enough. But it's hard to know where that threshold is.
Yeah, it's really hard. Okay, so we're still deploying with one. And so this is like in light mode, this is a little bit better. But
Yeah.
shouldn't these like be okay, deployment duration trends? Should these be bars or just I don't know what we should be using here, but also we didn't tell it.
Yeah. I mean, you could do bars or I would make it a line plot graph, right? So the actually
Yeah, okay. Let's ask
show
it
the
to make
path.
a line. But by the way, look at this. It just like we didn't ask it to do any of this.
Yeah.
Good API.
And the thing about this is like this is a proof of concept, but it's a good base, right? So if you could then at that point take those graphs and change anything you want in the code, right?
Exactly.
So it's a great place to start from.
I've also noticed if you write with like spelling mistakes, it really doesn't matter.
No. But let's not try not to make it.
Oh, I just have fat fingers. This is just me. All right, so let's have a look. I don't think it understood what line graphs are. But it doesn't really matter, right? Like this just shows you. Okay, so that's just not going to happen. But I think if we spend a bit of time and thinking about what it should be, like this deployment is not done, right? So it doesn't show anymore. And it can probably show queued as well because I can just deploy 2 of them and you'll see a queue.
Right.
This is actually really, really handy. And so when you have good specs, when you have a good code base that's clean and understandable, we just added something new that launch itself exactly doesn't show. However, if we go to our analytics, I'm sure we can see that here too. And so what you might want to do instead of using like the data from launch itself, we might want to hook into with OAuth the analytics endpoints. And then you'll see that this is actually a lot better than we just did. But this is just because this is a content stack product, right? This is the analytics product that we have.
Right.
But like this, even this has a lot more even status codes. So this is analytics for our websites, what it's serving even. So
Yeah.
there's many ways to roam, shall we say?
I think
Right?
so. And this is the type of stuff where, like I was talking about before, like if that dashboard that you created is actually not for developers and another audience, you would want to pull some of this data in,
Agree,
probably.
100%. And so the thing is, you could add an auth scope and just get the APIs for the analytics tool and add that to your dashboard. Or you can kind of just let whatever you have with the launch endpoints, it can find all this stuff based on those APIs. Like we can maybe have a look at what it's actually using. So which endpoints are you using for the analytics dashboard? With spelling mistake, how about that?
It's fine. It recognizes it.
Oh, there we go. So basically, it does get projects, get environments, get deployment. So I'm sure it's getting a whole bunch of data just from that. And then it
Yep.
just shows it. Yeah, you see, this is why you want these APIs so you can build some stuff. Shall we have a look at what else it offered us? So we did 6 now. Enhanced UX. Yeah, no, it's a bit boring. Logging, debugging, nah. Collaboration, activity feed, recent actions across projects, all that log. Comments and notes.
Interesting.
Yeah, that means it probably is going to need a database somehow, right?
Right.
So we could do that, but
Hmm.
then we would have to, spin up a whole thing. But let's see what else is there. Advanced features. Oh, this is fun. Like side by side
It's not
preview
preview
comparison.
comparison.
Shall we just add that?
Yeah, so it's basically like trying to replicate some of our other functionality on the platform, right?
Exactly, because we have the timeline thing where you can do this.
Right. And we also have personalization where you can do A/B testing as well.
And so, okay, so let's do this one. And like this, to be fair, the context is 42%, so it might start being less good at its job. But
Yeah.
this is a fun one because this is such a small project. It's so cleanly set up. It's gonna probably be pretty good.
Yeah. And this is slightly more complex. So I'm interested
Mhm.
in seeing. I'm just impressed at how fast it is. I think that this is the fastest
Composer one
one
is
we've
by far
used
the
so
best.
far.
Yeah. The thing is, though, we didn't actually give it any prompts to really plan and do exactly what we want because this is just a live stream and we're like, oh no, just do this, please. But it
Yeah.
seems to have a pretty decent idea. Like it has like what is it doing? So create deployment comparison page, add deployment section to the UI, display method. Yeah, so it's kind of just thinking on its own here. Imagine doing this with like a bigger model like Opus 4.5, and this will be like near production ready.
Yeah.
Now, actually, this is not that bad, but like you see, when it runs the build, it breaks. And so, what I've noticed when you use, for example, Codex 5.2
Hmm.
from OpenAI on high mode, the build will just not break. The types are always going to be good, but it's long, it's slow, but it will
Yeah.
just build like a
But
full
it will
thing.
work.
Works. Yeah, it's really interesting.
But it's
Oh,
also kind of like slow relative, right? Because it's still much faster than if you did it yourself.
oh, yes. And I consider myself a fast developer, but I have nothing on this. Oh, it actually did it already.
Let's see.
So where do we go? So we go to a project and environment and then a deployments compare. Okay. Okay, projects. I think this is a quite changeable one. Well, this one is also quite, let's
Uh,
see. We'll just go to one. It doesn't matter. Okay, production. And Oh, compare deployments. This one, and let's do an older one. 2 by 2 selected, yes. Oh, wait.
Oh,
This
there
is
we
bad.
go. I was like, where did it forget the buttons?
Yeah, wait, but these look the same. Wait, let's go to another project. I think this one is this is the newest one. So compare deployment. Yeah, so this is not exactly nice, but it's fine. And it also it doesn't really
Oh,
go back to all the
it looks like it's
deployment.
only doing like the last 5.
Oh wait. Like it's kind of cool. Commit message, git hash, view it. So we can go to the URL. It shows you, yeah, you can actually see the image is different.
Yeah.
And so this is an archived one, the duration, the time difference. So this was today, probably the morning and this is like afternoon and morning. There you go.
Yeah.
It's it's not that great, but it's also just works.
Yeah. And it's something you could work from, right, to improve. Because I could
Oh,
also see
100%.
where maybe you created something where you wanted to revert back to a previous
Mm,
deployment.
this is actually not that bad. Anyways, I think we've been kind of pushing this a little further, but it's just this is one of those streams where we would love for you to just be inspired by, if you have these APIs and you can use agents and the specs are good, the sky is literally the limit.
Yeah,
And that's what we wanted to show you.
definitely. And if you build anything with this, show us. Um, let's see. Let's wrap. You ready to wrap up?
I'm good.
I think
Unless we have
I
something
think
else we
so.
wanted to do, but I think we're good.
We're good. Stay tuned, folks. We will have another stream next month. Um, we, of course, have free accounts now available on Contentstack, and you can join our Discord community. If you go to community.contentstack.com, it will take you to a landing page where you can sign up for a free account and also join the community. There's a wide range of content there as well, technical blogs, tutorial guides, all sorts of things like that.
Also, everything you saw today, you can do with that account.
Yes.
So that's good fun stuff. I think you're limited to like 1 or 2 projects on launch, but you probably cannot do like your own API or your own top level domain, but the rest you can just do. So
Yeah.
those free accounts are very, very generous in that context. All right.
And they're really good for testing around stuff like this and vibe coding out
Exactly.
like custom apps, custom projects, all sorts of stuff.
All right. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Lo, for narrating my bad typing.
You're fine. Thank you all so much. We'll talk soon.
All
Everyone
right.
be safe.
Cheers.
Bye.